Well, welcome everyone. I am going to blast through a handful of slides to share with you the new SpotOn match. Many of you know this has been some time in the making. Those of you that don't know me, that's me, about 20 pounds lighter and a few years younger, President and Chief Scientist of Zoracle Profiles. Many of you are already clients of ours. If you're not, let me tell you a little bit about Zoracle Profiles. We provide profiling tools for franchisors and for franchise brokers. Our tools are franchise specific. That's the marketplace that we play in. We understand franchising inside and out. All of our profiling tools are customizable. And most importantly, all of our tools are based on something called a meta-analysis approach, which I'm going to spend a little bit of time on. Our tools are designed to help facilitate a fit between a prospective franchisee and a franchise system. Our focus is always on, does this franchisee fit within a franchise system? Are they compatible? And ultimately, the tools are designed to predict future performance of that franchisee. So our tools are designed to help recruit, select, sell, and support a franchisee. So let me share very, very quickly what the sciences are behind our tool. There are 7 sciences that are involved in the SpotOn profile. The first is out of Stanford Research Institute, which is a values-based logic. It's the why an individual does what they do, what motivates them, what drives them to do what they do, and ultimately how they make decisions. Hang on, guys, my computer has been really crazy here the last few days. There we go. Ultimately, what motivates and drives them to do what they do, and ultimately how they're going to make a decision, what franchise system. The second piece of science is Neil Churchill's work out of Carruthers Institute. It's the stages of growth of a franchise organization. So we measure where a franchisor is within the evolution of their franchise system and what crises and challenges they may be incurring. But most importantly, what kind of franchisee fits within that particular stage of growth. The third piece of science is out of the University of Michigan. It's a cultural fit model. In part, culture is indeed values, but it's also the environment, the best practices, and what a franchisor is rewarding. So we look at a franchisor's culture, and most importantly, will this prospective franchisee fit within that franchise culture? The fourth piece of science is a simple personality assessment. It's the 5-factor model by William Marston. We call it the work style. You might know it as the DISC or the predictive index or the Harrison or some other 5-factor model. The fifth piece of science comes out of Gallup research. It's the strength finder logic. We look at the top 5 strengths of an individual, and then we correlate those strengths to hard competencies. Competencies like sales skills, marketing skills, admin skills, finance and ops skills. The fifth piece of science is Dr. Robert Nedford's work out of the University of Rochester. It's called the focus preference. And this is a piece of sports psychology that helps us understand if a prospective franchisee can move from one piece of the business to another. Can they do strategic planning in the morning? Can they coach an employee later that day? And can they deal with a vendor issue or customer issue in the afternoon or do some marketing? The final piece is Dr. Daniel Goleman's logic, which is emotional and social intelligence. Emotional intelligence has to do with all of those factors of managing myself, my thoughts, my emotions, my mouth, my budget, my time. Am I self-driven? Do I have self-control? And can I understand how my emotions are affecting my performance? And then social intelligence has to do with all of those factors involved with managing others, my relationships with employees, my relationships with vendors, and of course, as a prospective franchisee, my relationship with the franchisor. So the logic is quite simple. It is 7 different sciences built into a single tool. Each one of these sciences are available out on the open market outside of Zoracle. We're not unique in that way. What makes us unique is how we've combined it into a single 15-minute assessment, and all of the data is reported into a single report, and it's franchise specific. It's not about employees. It's about that unique relationship between a franchisor and a franchisee. So bottom line, what we deal with is the dilemmas that both a franchisor and a broker deals with. First off, the cost of an acquisition of a franchisee is high. We all know that. And a franchisor is always looking for ways to make sure that that franchisee is the right franchisee after all the effort that they've put into it. Because we know that a poor fitting franchisee costs a lot more to train and support. In fact, our research shows 140% more cost to supporting a B-playing franchisee versus an A-player franchisee. That's a lot of resources. We also know that poor fitting franchisees tend to validate poorly. That's hard on the franchise development team. It's also hard on our franchise brokers. And of course, our poor fitting franchisees are never satisfied. They tend to be squeaky wheels. They also find it difficult to embrace your systems, and that oftentimes leads to compliance issues and litigation issues. And then to me, one of the biggest detriments of a poor fitting franchisee, of course, is they don't retain. They either find a way to get out themselves or we help them exit at some point, but we also know that they ultimately don't then re-engage for that next contract, 10-year contract. Now, for the broker, they have a whole nother set of a dilemma, right? It's almost impossible for a broker to fully understand inside and out 300 plus franchise concepts. You try, but you spend most of your time doing nothing but a whole bunch of research. And of course, we highly recommend that research, but it's very difficult. So we have a tendency as brokers to have what we call our horses, the 10 or 12 franchisors that we know inside and out. We show those concepts again and again. And we're hoping to begin to change that a little bit with the SpotOn match. It's also difficult to understand hundreds of prospective franchise clients that you are dealing with, especially today when a lot of our work is via the telephone rather than face-to-face. So up until now, there's really not been a data-driven or scientific way to facilitate the Z to ZOR fit. And there's not been a common language or process between the franchisor and the franchise broker. So let me share with you what our franchisors do if you're brokers, and then franchisors, I want you to see what the brokers are doing and how this SpotOn match is all going to facilitate some simplicity for you and save you some time. So what we do with franchisors is we go into a franchise system and we do what we call a franchisee performance blueprint or a top performer blueprint. Basically what that means is we talk with the franchisor and their leadership team and we set some custom ideals in place, standards and benchmarks, what they believe a high performer is. This could be based on revenue, market share, profitability, year-over-year growth, ramp-up time, or it could be softer markets. They pay their royalties on time. They show up at conferences. But these ideals are then set in place by the franchisor. We help facilitate that at Zorkel, so we have some hard numbers and hard standards to operate by. And then we give the franchisor a link where they assess as many of their franchisees or current franchisees as possible. That 15-minute assessment will gather that data. Then the franchisor sits down and it takes the list of all the franchisees that have taken the assessment and they separate them into groups. Top performers, those that fit those ideals, that ramped up the way we wanted them to, that are doing year over year what we need them to do, that have the kind of profitability, that are paying the royalties, whatever those original markers were, the franchisor separates his franchisees into Group A, Group B, and Group C, top, mid, and low performers. Then at Zorkel, what we do is we look for the psychographic markers, the corollaries and the causation of what is causing someone to ramp up faster or perform better or be a better fit or retain longer. We call that a blueprint. It's about a 70-page document that the franchisor gets back that categorically outlines the differences between their A players, their B players, and their C players. Going forward, we then write some custom algorithms into the software where the franchisor now sends a link to a prospective franchisee, and it assesses that prospective franchisee and quickly compares them to the high performers within their system. We call it an Eclipse Report. Brokers, if you have not seen an Eclipse Report, you are welcome to at any point. Reach out to Phil, reach out to me, talk to Sabrina or Wanda. We're happy to get you some copies of what this Eclipse Report is that your franchisors are getting from the Zoracle tool. The Zoracle tool, the Eclipse Report basically gives them an overview of every science and where their prospect ultimately fits or doesn't fit. You can see very quickly here, this is a candidate that's a 69% fit. Not likely a good fit for that franchise system. But the Eclipse Report is a 12-page report that shows exactly where that candidate matches up or does not match up to the high performers within the franchise system. So what you're looking at is one page within the Eclipse Report where we have set some algorithms in place showing exactly the scores that we need for that candidate to have in these 8 core competencies as an example, and where this candidate scores high or this candidate scores low. So you can imagine that the franchisor will use some of that data to then coach and support and mentor their franchisees if they choose to bring that individual on board. So for the franchisor, what they're asking is, does this prospect look like our high performers? And the Eclipse Report lets them know that. It requires they do the research, of course. As brokers, you're also asking a similar question when you're working with your prospective franchisee. Does my prospect look like the high performers within a particular franchise system that you would like to make an introduction to? You've done a ton of research on it. You have some basic understanding. We would like to give you one more tool that will allow you to know, do they statistically match from a psychographic perspective what the top performers are within that franchise system? So we work with a ton of franchisors that have completed the research. We want to make that research available to you as brokers where you can quickly see which franchise systems are statistically a great match for your prospective franchisee. Now, it's still up to you if you choose to share that lead with the franchisor. We are simply going to show you the data for the franchisors that are on board and want to participate in this. Their data will be available. So you'll do what you've always done, brokers. If you're a client of ours, you'll recognize this dashboard. If you're a client and you're not on the dashboard, you can register quite easily by just going to zoracle.net/register or reach out to someone on the Zoracle team and we'll get you registered. But nonetheless, go to your dashboard, click on profiles on the left-hand side, and at the top you will notice that there are 4 tabs. The first one will be SpotOn Match. It will default to your last client. In this case, this client is Brandon, and we can see that Brandon has a 85% plus overall fit with these 5 companies that we've done the research for. So straight from the dashboard, if you choose, again, this is just for your eyes, your prospect will never see this, and the ZOR will only see it if you forward the data, and then the ZOR, of course, will have additional data on top of that. So you can directly from the dashboard click register if you desire, and that will send a note to you, franchisor, letting you know that in this case, Marilyn Monroe of Beautiful Franchises for You brokerage firm is forwarding a lead to you. At that point, it will be forwarded, and you can, as a franchisor, accept that registration simply by clicking on register. And then in return, the franchisor through the system will be sending a note to the broker saying, got your lead, thank you so much, and then they'll be off working on it. Now, I know for some of you, you may not know all the development people in each of these organizations. So you'll get back who you are actually communicating to, or if you have someone you prefer to communicate, obviously you can download that information and forward it directly using your own email. This is only if you want to do it through the dashboard. For you franchisors that are already on the Eclipse system, you've already done the research, you'll do the same thing. Once you get the notice, you'll go to the dashboard and you will quickly see that Marilyn Monroe and Rocky Balboa have sent you a few leads that are excellent fits. Now you can dig a little bit deeper, of course, franchisor, by looking at the more precise data. Right now you're looking behind the scenes at the Eclipse Summary that digs more deeply into the individual categories and the fit. And of course, if you want to dig even more deeply, you just go to the vital statistics and EQ, SQ statistics and the skills statistics, as you've already done, and it will give you all of this information. So I promised you I would do this as fast as possible so we could answer as many questions as possible. Our goal is to help the franchisor and the franchise broker work more closely together. The SpotOn match and the SpotOn profile for you as brokers will help you develop stronger credibility. It answers a question that every prospect is asking. Do I have what it takes to be a business owner? Now, it doesn't tell them which franchise, right? That's why they go to you as franchise consultants and franchise brokers, is which franchise is the right franchise for me. So the tool is an unbiased, scientific way to build credibility while building confidence in your prospective franchisee. And those of you that have been using it know it increases the engagement that you have with your prospective franchisee. It lets you look into their hearts and into their minds in a way that you couldn't do otherwise. And with the SpotOn match, it will help facilitate this Z to ZOR fit. We're hoping that this will close more deals. We're also hoping that it will have you start to show some concepts that you may have not considered before, simply because you may not have understood exactly what it took to be successful within that franchise system. Now, for the franchisor, obviously, our goal is to help you help the broker and vice versa close more deals. Deals wherein there's a high likelihood of success with that franchise system, with your franchise system. So the ultimate goal, of course, is to simplify the process and to make this as easy as possible to determine if there's a right fit situation for you. Now, at some point, franchisors, this is not available yet. We've done a little bit of beta testing with this the last couple of years, and we've had some great feedback. So franchisors, if you are already on the Eclipse subscription, where you've done the research, you're getting Eclipse reports, and you are noticing leads, these are not broker leads I'm talking about. I'm talking about organic leads. The broker leads the broker owns, but any kind of organic lead that you have from expos, marketing that you've done, you will have the opportunity down the road, if you wish, to recycle and co-op with other brokers and even, with other ZORs and possibly even some other brokers. If it's someone that's not a great fit, but they're a great candidate, we already have franchisors that are reaching out saying, I have this fabulous candidate, not a great fit for us, but boy, I wish I knew where he was a fit, so we could give that lead to either a broker or to another franchise system. So the system will automate that and allow you to figure out how to do that between ZOR to ZOR or ZOR to broker, where that lead is not just a dead lead, but someone that we can help get into the right business. So as I mentioned, the big thing for us is to create some simplicity for you, some common language, and some technological and scientific ways to do these matches. We know, and if you know me at all, you know how committed I am to helping people be successful. We know when there's a good fit, that franchisee is going to do better. They're going to retain better. They're going to validate better. They're going to have greater compliance. They're going to ramp up better. They're going to have increased performance. For you as brokers, if it's a good fit, the prospective franchisee feels it viscerally. We want to get to that visceral feeling of fit quicker by having some scientific and technological way to facilitate that. So quickly, next steps for you. Zoors. If you already have an Eclipse subscription, you're in. There is nothing you need to do. If you don't want in, you do need to let us know that says, no, I don't want this kind of matching. Otherwise, you're automatically in and you're getting free matches. Zoors. If you're only on the SpotOn profile subscription, you've not done the research, you're not getting the Eclipse subscription, I'm going to recommend you do the research and get a Eclipse subscription. And again, get your free matches for the next year. If you only, Zoors, work with brokers, you have no organic leads, nothing coming from anywhere else, then you still need to do the research and get the match subscription so our brokers can facilitate a solid match for you. So this data can go to the FBA brokers so they know how to match up with your system. So normally the research will run about $1,500 to $6,000 depending on the size of the franchise, or if you want into the match or you want to upgrade from the SpotOn profile to the Eclipse, the research fee for the next 90 days is only $12.95. I can't hold that forever, so just let us know, let Phil know. Brokers, if you're already on the monthly SpotOn profile, you need to do nothing. You will start to get matches in the next couple of days. We thought it was actually going to launch last week, but I asked for some user interface changes at the last minute, and so Jenny's been working hard on that, including Professor Mo is gone. So you're not going to see Professor Mo unless you want her, and we'll leave her. Otherwise, she is no longer part of the assessments. We believe that'll add a little more credibility for you. If you're on an as-you-go profile subscription, reach out to Phil, and he'll get you upgraded to the monthly subscriptions. And here is Phil's contact information, or a landing page that you can go to fill out that you want more information. So, Phil, do we have any questions that I can answer, or you can answer for our folks today?
Sure. Will we be adding more brands on a monthly basis?
Yes, exactly. So obviously that's been our push, and one of the promises I made to you guys was that we would not launch until we had at least 100 franchisors on the system. We're way beyond that number. I think we're at about 140 franchisors right now that are part of the system.
More than
yeah,
we're more than that,
and so,
but that's okay.
Is it more than that? I'm so sorry. But nonetheless, we will be, as we finish the research, it'll be instantly available to franchise brokers if the franchisor wishes to be part of the process.
Okay, next question is, as a franchisor, how fast does the blueprint research take?
So that depends on the size of the franchisor. If it's a smaller emerging franchisor, we can typically get it done in 2 to 4 weeks. If it's a larger franchisor that wants every single franchisee, it can take, 45 days to 60 days to complete. So usually I suggest people budget 30 to 45 days from research until delivery.
Okay. As a broker, how will I know that my prospect has a brand match?
If you ran an assessment on them, then go to the dashboard and it'll be on the dashboard. Just assume there will always be a match. Here's the reality. It may not always happen. There may not be a match with anything, at which point on the dashboard it will let you know. sorry, no matches today. And of course, part of that, Phil, is if there are franchisors that a broker is working with that they love and wish they knew more about, then encourage those franchisors to do the research so we can have that data. But just assume if your prospect took the assessment, there's at least one match, or at least we're hoping there's going to be at least one match. And sometimes that's not true. In fact, I just saw one the other day that had no matches. So,
as a broker, how often should I expect matches coming in?
You mean like new franchisors, I'm assuming is what the question. So I have a new ways of matching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I don't know if I could tell you the answer to that. I mean, as soon as we finish the research and the algorithms are written for that franchisor, they'll be implemented. So it'll be on a regular basis. What we launched 4 or 5 just last week, right, Phil?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep, we did.
Can I answer the question from Chris Go?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we missed that one. He's asking, is there a feature for brokers to look at data from prospects that completed SpotOn but have gone dead and revive them with new information? I think that's a brilliant idea. So brokers, if you have prospective franchisees from 3 months, 6 months ago that appear to be dead, go back to your dashboard. You will be able to do matches even retroactively. So go back 6 months ago and pull up that client that you thought was dead, see what matches up with that prospective franchisee, and then reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I have a franchisor in our system that you're a really good match with. Would you be interested in talking to me? So yes, you'll be able to do that right on your dashboard.
One question is, can you send us emails to let us know that the matching segment is working?
Yeah, we can send out another announcement.
Does the match portion only work if the ZOR has signed up?
So it only works if they've done the research and have agreed to be part of the program. So the research is mandatory for us to do.
Can you put up that dashboard slide again? And okay. And you can
so
see
one of the
ranking.
One of the questions I just read, Phil, from Sabrina, was we are displaying some companies that are not in our FBA inventory. Is there a way to eliminate those? Phase 2 will allow that. Right now, we are giving you access to all of our clients, but that's ultimately the goal, Sabrina and team, is that you can tell us these are FBA inventory, these are the ZORs that are with FBA, and then it will only show those brokers. So that's going to be phase 2, but right now it's going to show everything. When you register, you're registering individually. So you're not, when you hit Goodbye Graffiti or SprayNet, you're going to register just with them. And the minute you register, the data then transfers. You've given now the ZOR some permission, so the data transfers to the franchisor's dashboard and notifies them. If they are not in your inventory, then of course you likely won't be registering them. So you only register those that you have a relationship with, a contract with.
So it's our goal to get as many FBA brands on board so you guys can match. That's our goal. Another question here from Wes Doss. So it's not necessarily matching them to a brand itself from all aspects based on the candidate's goals. It's just matching them to the ZOR's most successful franchisees. Well, yes and no. That's the research that is done, Wes. And that's the blueprint. So that's what comes out of that is we want to find the most, the perfect match to this most successful franchise system.
The thing to remember is you're matching here based on psychographics, how this individual is in comparison to the high performers within various franchise systems from a psychographic perspective. It's not matching. And I think that's the direction Wes was going with that question, is it's not matching on price points or territory or even for that matter, interest. They may not be interested in cupcakes, right? It's matching them based on, do they fit and can they build a successful business? Ultimately, as a broker, you are still going to be determining, do they have the money? Is their territory? Do they even have an interest in automotive? They may not, right? All we're saying is, from a psychographic perspective, this candidate looks like the high performers and is a high match with that system.
I understand the benefits of using SpotOn Match as a consultant, but what about the brands? What's the benefit to the brands?
So the benefit to the brand are many. One, of course, is you're getting a higher quality, high likelihood of success match for the from the broker. Now, if you are on the Eclipse program, you're automatically getting the match from the brokers. The Eclipse report on your organic leads obviously will tell you if these leads look like your high performers. So bottom line, the biggest benefit is they're going to be higher performers, they're going to be more compatible, they're going to retain longer, they're going to cost less to support and to train if you have a higher fitting franchisee. As it relates to the broker-ZOR relationship with the match, we are anticipating faster closing times because you're getting someone who's a match rather than kind of trying to put a square peg in a round hole. So we're anticipating faster times to close and a common language that the FBA brokers can use with you as a franchisor. If you're already using the Eclipse, you're already using that language, but it'll be a common language when a broker says, I have an achiever director that is a stage 2 franchisee, you instantly know who that is and what they need and how to then present and sell and process that information through their due diligence process. So we're looking forward to your feedback as time goes on, how this is working. But we have no doubts that it'll definitely facilitate more deals for all of you, and for the ZORs, help you in your research with the franchisors, and the franchisors, of course, getting better quality leads.
Back to the consultants, if you have brands that you're working with and you would like them to be on the SpotOn Match program, you can just reach out to me with the introduction, and we will proceed to see if we can get them on the program.
I do want to mention one more time that there's a handful of our old faithful brokers that aren't even using the dashboard. And you came on board when Zoracle first launched and may not even know there is a dashboard. So register for the dashboard. You're going to be surprised the data and the analytics that is there. But that's where you're going to find the matches. So you're going to need to be registered for the dashboard. Easy peasy, zoracle.net/register.
All right. I think that's it. I don't see any more questions.
So you can either reach out to Phil directly, or there's a landing page to go to sign up.